Hi, this is Therese from Triumph Quilts, and today we're going to be talking about making a t-shirt quilt. T-shirt quilts are nice to make and to have because you're utilizing some items that maybe have just been stored in the closet and now you've turned it into a really nice quilt, and there's a lot of memories in them. So what you're going to need is to gather up some t-shirts, about at least 12 of them, cotton fabric for the backing, sashing, and binding, and then some batting. Also, it's nice to have a rotary cutter, cutting rulers, and a cutting mat. So gather up your t-shirts, wash and dry them, and don't use fabric softener, and then lay them flat after drying. Now you need to begin to plan your quilt. What size do you want to make, and how big of a block do you want to make? And also, do you want to put in sashing? So lay out your t-shirts in a nice appealing manner and decide how many more you might need or what size you'd really like to make. You need about 12 to 16 to make a small lap size quilt. Then you need to look at your t-shirts and see which is the most usable area and come up with the one size for all the blocks. I have a 12.5-inch square that I use, and that's a pretty good size for a t-shirt quilt. So now you need to decide whether you want to add sashing or not. If you want sashing, you need to figure out how much fabric you're going to need to make that sashing. So you need to make a sketch and do the math. Once you've planned your quilt, you can start rough cutting your t-shirts by cutting off the sleeves and the backing, and then laying the t-shirts on the mat and cutting out the correct size block that you want to use. Remember, all finished blocks need seam allowance added to them. So now that you've cut out your blocks, you can lay out your pattern and see how it looks. If you're going to add sashing, now's the time to cut it. So 2.5-inch wide strips would be your width of your sashing, and it'd end up with a 2-inch finish width. And referring to your sketch, cut enough sashing to piece between the blocks and long strips to go between the rows. Now you're ready to sew. So lay out your whole quilt on the floor or on a big table and begin piecing your blocks together. And again, the sashing goes onto the blocks, and then the blocks get sewn together, and make rows and then sew the sashing between the rows. Once your quilt top is together, you need to make your backing fabric. And so measure your top and add 3 inches all around. Piece together a backing fabric large enough to accommodate this measurement. Now you want to prepare your quilt for quilting, and you can either send it out and get it professionally quilted, or you can lay the top on top of batting and backing, base them together, and then either hand quilt or quilt on your machine. When quilting, remember it's nice to have a little helper too. And remember when you're all done to sign the back of your quilts.